Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Laura and I am the creator and illustrator behind Laura Jane Illustrations on Instagram, where I aim to create content that helps you feel good about you. Today we have another Be Kind to Your Mind video on a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is anxiety. Anxiety and my personal experiences and struggles with it are something that I have shared a lot on other social media platforms, especially on Instagram, and it's something that every time that I talk about it, so many of you reach out and say that the content that I share is relatable or has made you feel a little bit less alone in what you're going through. And that's what I hope to achieve with today's video. For full transparency, I am not a mental health professional. Everything that I'm sharing in this video are things that have helped me in my experience with anxiety. However, if you are struggling or you know of someone who has been struggling with anxiety, I've left lots of links in the description box below. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that I use to help me manage my anxiety on an everyday basis, or whenever it crops up in a way that's getting in the way of me getting on with my day or my life. So let's dive in. I think because breathing is something that we do so naturally without really making a conscious effort to think about, it's something that we overlook. Shortness of breath or difficulty breathing is a really common side effect of anxiety or panic attack disorders. A good place to start is just simply becoming mindful and conscious of your breath. You're probably going to realize when you start to think mindfully about it in these anxious moments that you're breathing quickly and your breaths are shallow. That means they're short breaths and you're not really filling your lungs with oxygen. This is in turn is going to increase your heart rate, and it's going to send your body into that fight or flight mode where adrenaline is released and you just feel like you're on edge and everything is a threat around you. Try with each couple of breaths to consciously make the effort to breathe deeper and slower. You have to really sit with it for a while. It could take you 5 minutes, it could take you 10 minutes, it could take you 15 or 20 minutes to get yourself back to that place of calm. The thing to look out for is when you feel like this breathing has returned to a place where it feels natural and not forced, that you're not really forcing yourself to breathe deeply. And when you stop making that mindful, conscious thought process around it, you don't instantly go back to those short, shallow breaths. There are a lot of specific techniques that you can do with your breathing. One of the most common ones that you might have heard mentioned before is box breathing. So the box breath works like this: breathing in for a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, breathing out for a count of 4, holding for a count of 4, and repeating. Another way that you can use breath work is in connection with movement, which is kind of what the whole foundations of yoga is built on. Yoga with Adriene here on YouTube has a fantastic series that's dedicated to just that, which is breath work. And really the foundations of breath in combination with yoga. And she starts or ends every practice with some breath work. So it's a really great way to also learn some new breathing techniques. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 listing activity or method is based on your sensory interaction with the space around you. Basically, you list in your head or out loud, or maybe you want to write it down, 5 things that you can see in the space around you, 4 things that you can or could touch or feel in the space around you, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. If the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method doesn't work for you, or maybe it's not enough to help ground you to a moment, you could just start to create a mental list and maybe pick 1 factor. So for example, everything in the room around you that's red, or everything around you that you could eat, or everything around you that would make a sound. It's just like a little game to play with yourself to distract yourself from whatever spiraling thoughts you have, to ground yourself to the moment and just help yourself return to a place of calm rather than continuing to focus on whatever is making you feel anxious. Number 3 is journaling. So I recently did a whole video on how I use journaling to help navigate a negative mindset or negative spiral. And it's also great for anxiety because obviously for me personally anyway, when I am anxious, I do tend to go on negative spirals where my mind just starts to list off all of the worst case scenarios, and journaling is a great way for me to either vent that by letting myself journal that and write it and put it on paper and get it out of my mind rather than playing it on repeat, or it's a great space to challenge myself on paper within that safe space. So having that conversation with myself in my journal. If you want to learn a little bit more about journaling and the other techniques that I use to help my mental health with journaling, I will leave a link to that video in the description box, and you can go and watch that to find out a little bit more. Okay, number 4 is guided meditation. So guided meditation was something that I had not tried before lockdown in 2020. I personally didn't think it would be for me. I didn't know if it would be helpful for my mental health or if it would actually be useful when I'm feeling anxious or having a bad day. It's not something that I do as consistently as I would like to. It's definitely something that I would like to include more in my weekly self-care routine, because when I do actually do guided meditations, I really do see the impact that they have in terms of helping me maintain a calmer state and also helping me with growth mindset and problem solving. I've tried the app Mindcode, which have a whole library of guided meditations for whatever you're feeling. Other places that I would recommend for guided meditation libraries are Headspace app. Headspace also have some guided meditations on Netflix, and they're just really recommended and renowned for being a great source for guided meditation. Another person that I personally enjoy listening to guided meditations by is Gabby Bernstein. She does more spiritual focused guided meditations, but they're really good if you want to do meditation around maybe goal setting or creating affirmations, attracting kind of positive things into your life, if that's kind of something that you are into or it personally resonates with you. She has a library of guided meditations on her website and also here on YouTube as well. So if I can find some that I've used from other platforms, I'll leave them in the description box below. And finally, number 5 is talking about it. As I said at the beginning of this video, if you are struggling with your mental health, if you are struggling with your anxiety on an ongoing basis to the point where it's getting in the way of you functioning and living your life, as in you can't manage it by yourself anymore, then the best thing that you can do is talk to someone. It's not necessarily about having just someone that you can trust to share this with, because talking about mental health is a really tricky thing to do. If you have someone in your life that you can trust, then speak to them about maybe getting support in going to speak to someone else. If you don't have someone in your life that you can think of that you think can fulfill that role for you, then definitely speak to your doctor about maybe speaking to a therapist or what your options for that would be. Talking physically for me helps me take the emotion outside my body, and usually my process when I'm really anxious about something is I'll have a good cry about it, because that's also a physical release of the emotion. And then I tend to either journal it or verbalize it and talk about it. When I talk about it, it's not that I already have the solutions, but sometimes saying what I'm feeling out loud helps me then rephrase it or see it from a different perspective, because when we're just keeping it in our mind, it's spiraling and it's going so quickly that we might not be able to think of rational solutions or see it from a rational point of view, or we might just allow it to continue spiraling. And when we speak what we're feeling out loud, that potential to spiral reduces because we hear what we're thinking. We hear ourselves saying it, and sometimes that's enough for us to correct ourselves or kind of realize, okay, well, what I'm worrying about, that's not rational, or actually I can see a solution to this problem, or I can think of something that I could try to support that. don't keep it all inside. Definitely find ways to let it out, be that through journaling, through meditation, or if it's getting too big for you to manage independently, it's time to speak to someone, be that someone in your life that you can trust to be a present listener or a professional who is trained to support you in navigating what you're feeling. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications to get reminders when new videos go up. And that's all from me for today. I will see you again really soon.